Hi, my name is Anne Marie Flynn, and I am an engineer. This is a non-technical version of engineering for parents, for administrators, for teachers, for anybody who has a child in K through 12. One of the things that I realized kind of early on, engineers understand engineering and they assume the whole rest of the world understands engineering, kind of like a day in the life of engineering, just like everybody understands the day in the life of a cop or a firefighter or a doctor or a dentist or a nurse. And they can see their day from morning to end. But an engineer is like a black box, kind of like, your VCR blinking 12 all the time. Just nobody cares to fix it. It's just not important. Anyway, so the reason I'm doing this is when kids are in school and they think what they want to be, they think everything. You know, they want to be a rock star, they want to play in a band, they want to be a TV host, and then eventually, some of them come down to earth and they want to be, concert pianist. Definitely one that never even crosses their mind is an engineer. So I am here to give a non-technical of what an engineer is and they do. And I think some of you would be blown away. It's like, really? It's almost like I was buying a washing machine. I was in Sears and I was asking the guy, when you're buying something like that, all you really want is the person who's selling it to you to say, you know what, this is the one that I have in my house. I'm like, okay, I'll take one. If it's in your house, that's good. So it was a top loader and a front loader. And he said to me, the front loader, because it has to keep turning around the clothes, the motor breaks a lot. The top loader, it's kind of like just dump it down. And I was like, duh. Okay, I want to do that for you with respect to engineering. Why? It's a pretty cool profession. The salaries are very respectable, to say the least. And there are a lot of kids out there who could easily do engineering, but they, and a lot of the teachers in school and their parents and the administrators think sometimes that engineering is just for the valedictorian or the next in line or all of the kids that took AP everything, AP Calc BC. That's not the case. Okay, why is this for parents and school administrators? So there's a triangle of influence that most high school kids, I think, adhere to. It's their peers, it's their teachers, and their parents, their guardians, their family. And every kid is different. For example, my daughter who's older, she listened to me a lot. I would say something, she's like, yeah, that sounds good, I'll do that. My son, he would listen to his teachers, which is fine as long as you listen to somebody. So if the teachers and the parents know a little bit about engineering, that the top loader doesn't break as much as the front loader, then you're good. You know your kids the best. Okay, so how am I going to do it? It's not going to be a feel-good kind of thing. You're going to have to yeah. And then you'll like, oh my God. That's the hope, that you'd be like, oh my God, I wish someone told me, like the top loader and the front loader. It's almost like, this is an example I use a lot of the time. When I was getting married, all my friends were getting married, and I used to go to a lot of showers. You all know bridal showers. But sometimes you were invited to a bridal shower that you didn't know the person. So I used to get them this Lenox vase from Macy's. It was $50, $49.99. By the time you get the wrapping and the card, it's almost $60. I was in Aqueduct Racetrack one day, that's on Long Island. There was a flea market, and the exact same vase was right down there on a table for $25. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this vase has been here for forever, And nobody told me. I don't know who I expected to tell me, but that's kind of how I hope you guys feel when this is done. How long is it going to take? I'm guessing about 12 hours. You kind of do it Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Like I said, there's no feel-good stuff. It's a little bit technical, but regular technical. Okay, so, okay, sorry. So this is just a draft, just version 1. Okay. So why is it that engineering is a black box? I think everybody assumes being a black box, you don't know what's in it, you don't care, you leave it right over there. I think everybody assumes it's a black box because it's just so hard. That's not the case. One of the things that you have to realize is that ballpark, there are 3,000 four-year college institutions in the United States. Ballpark, that doesn't count community college, blah, blah, blah. There are about 300 schools that offer engineering. So if you were in college, only 1 in 10 college universities offer engineering. So the likelihood that you went to school and never met an engineer, that's very likely. Speak of never meeting, I bet you most people watching this have never met an engineer. No wonder it's a black box. Plus, you know, law and order, there's no law and order for engineers. I think we all could be attorneys at this stage from Law and Order. But nothing like that exists. Nobody brings you into the mindset of an engineer. I am an engineer. I've been an engineer my whole life. Grew up in Queens, Woodside, Queens. Went to a small private school in the Bronx, Manhattan College, got my undergraduate. I worked in industry after I graduated for 6 months. Then it was the 80s, so I waitressed in a place called Rosie O'Grady's in Midtown Manhattan, and I hitchhiked through Europe twice. And then one day I was done. The 80s were over. And I decided to go back to school and get my master's. My daughter was born, and then in order to teach, you have to get a PhD. Now, the killer in all this is I have hated school my whole life. I can remember in first grade in Our Lady of Hope in Maspeth, crying on the first day of school, thinking, I don't want to be here. I think I'm going to fail every test. I leave my homework to the last minute, so there's so much pressure, and I'm crying before the test because I think I'm going to fail. I'm crying after the test because I'm sure I failed. The truth is I kind of did all right, but you can't say that to someone. So I got a bachelor's, then there was the 80s, then I got a master's, and then I went to get a PhD. And while doing my PhD, a position opened up at Manhattan College, and I taught chemical engineering at Manhattan College for about 20 plus years, 22 years. But now I'm transitioning to education, specifically kind of middle school, high school, where, like the previous analogy, I want to tell you people about Aqueduct Racetrack and the $25 vase. And if you buy it, you buy it. If you don't buy it, that's up to you. But at least you know now. Kevin, it's okay. At least you know now. All right? So, where are we going to go next? Ooh, okay. So, there are about 3,000 universities in the United States, 4-year schools. There's all other types of schools, but just standard issue, right down the middle, 3,000. And there are 300 engineering schools, not exactly, about. And I think that most people think you go at non-engineering, anything else, you go to one school and it's, you know, if you get in, you know, like this. And let's say you want to be a history major. I couldn't be a history major literally all the king's horses couldn't make me be a history major. So you're at a school, and there's another option. You can go to one close to home, good school, small little private school maybe, state school. In New York we have city universities. And I think that you think that in the high-powered school, the history education that you will receive is different than the history education that you will receive in a school close to home. Newsflash, history is history. You can't change it. Okay. So that you get. In engineering, there is an accreditation process. It's called ABET, A-B-E-T, the American Board of Engineering and Technology. So what we're going to get to later is there are about 70 plus different types of engineering. I know. You think there's maybe civil, maybe electrical, mechanical, bio something engineering is very cool. My guess is most of you could probably, that was a test. Should have asked you first. Most of you could probably get to 3 or 4. If there are 2 of you doing it together, you might get to 5. That's kind of cheating. So ABET is an accreditor. And what ABET does, let's pick civil engineering. I'm a chemical engineer. Sometimes I think maybe I would have been a civil engineer also. I like building and constructing things. ABET says that the civil engineering curriculum has to have, I'm making this up, at 30% engineering science, at 20% science, so that's 30 plus 20 is 50. Then it has to have 35% straight engineering and 15% general ed courses. So I forget what I just said. 30% engineering science. Engineering science is, the course is kind of half engineering-y and half science. Then there are straight science course. What's a straight science course? Chemistry, physics, biology, computer science, math. And then engineering is a straight engineering course. Most students don't start taking engineering courses until junior year. And then gen ed is what kind of makes engineers well-rounded. They can be religion. For example, if the school is a private Catholic school, they probably have to take a couple of religion classes, maybe 3. They'll probably have to take some social science classes, some humanities classes. Make them well-rounded. I made that up. I made those numbers up. But the truth is, if that's the requirement for a civil engineering program, let's say on the East Coast, Columbia Civil Engineering has to have those percentages. Guess what? If you go to Michigan, if you go to the West Coast, University of Southern California, if you go to Mexico, De La Salle University in Mexico City, if you go to China, if you go to Russia, if your program, your civil engineering program is accredited, takes about 6 years to get accredited, and then every 6 years after that, you have to get like a re-up. If your program is accredited, those numbers are the same for everyone, no matter what school you're in, no matter what city you're in, no matter what country you're in. You are required to have that much in your program, your curriculum, to get a degree in civil engineering. Okay, but you're like, oh, but in some of the schools, they have better classes. And one of the things you need to know is chemistry is chemistry. The periodic table is the same everywhere in the world. In math, the derivative of x squared is 2x everywhere, independent of language. The engineering science, that might change, but Okay, so that's the engineering science. I think I said that was about 30. But the straight up engineering, you can't change. It's based on fact. It's based on math. We used to have a teacher in civil in Manhattan College, and I don't know whether he existed or not, but if you got a negative number for your answer, and he would say, negative number can't be, bridge fall down. So the engineering courses are based on math. The only thing that really can change is the gen ed classes. Where my daughter went to school, she wasn't an engineer, but her gen ed classes, she wanted to take a 1-credit class on how to drive a tractor. That never happened. You could take winemaking. She took a class in every single school except engineering. So once you decide on a program, we're going to get to how you decide. Once you decide on a program, they are the same everywhere in the world. The course material is the same everywhere in the world. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I have no idea if that was any good or not.